gentlemen, I want to bring something to your attention, okay? And this is the top 4 most common mistakes that you are making that is keeping you from building muscle with your training as well as with your diet, okay? Now, you may be doing 1 or 2 of these things. You may even be doing 3 of them. I really don't think you're doing all 4. I don't really see how that's possible, but we'll see. I'll leave that up to you to decide, but let's get into it. All right, so number 1 we're going to talk about is not lifting heavy enough, okay? And this is something that most newbies and women actually make when it comes to training in the gym. Now, when I say not lifting heavy enough, if I had to say on a scale of 1 to 10, how much weight are you working with on average, right? 1 being as light as humanly possible and 10 being as heavy as humanly possible, right? If you're saying anything that is under a 6, you're wasting your time in the gym training, okay? So going back to a scale of like RPE, right? That RPE scale of 1 to 10, relative perceived exertion, you should be working with weight that is within a 7 and a 9 on average for the most part. Now, if you work with a weight that's like a 5 or a 6, that should be a warm-up. And if you're working with a weight that's like a 10, that should be at the peak of your program where you're just testing your strength to see how strong you really are, right? This should be at the end of your workout, right? At the end of your training program where you're at that max peak strength for what you've been doing throughout the weeks, right? But for the most part, you need to be lifting heavier, really challenging yourself, okay? So ladies, this is a big thing. You could be doing, 100 body weight squats a day, but you're not going to build the lower body, of a real true athlete by doing this, okay? You're not going to get nice, round and firm, developed glutes and quads and hamstrings doing that, okay? You're just not. Now, you'll burn a lot of calories doing that because, you do 100 of anything. It can be pretty exhausting. But if you really want to build a pristine lower body, you got to pick up some weight. You got to get under the bar and you got to squat full depth, really challenging yourself, all right? So think 1 to 10. Does this feel like a 7 or does this feel like a 6, a 5, or a 4, okay? Get it up to 7, maintain in between that 7 and 9 effort level on the RPE scale. Now, the second mistake is going to be not doing enough volumes. When I say volume, I mean not doing enough sets and not doing enough reps, okay? Now, you see this a lot with guys in the gym, where you'll have guys in the gym, they'll go to the gym and they'll do, sets of 1 and 2 reps and maybe 3, right? Because they want to put a lot of weight on the bar, okay? Now, you might be lifting heavy enough, but just doing 1 rep at a time or 2 reps at a time or 3 reps at a time throughout your whole entire workout on a day-to-day and weekly basis, that's not going to build you a lot of muscle mass. That may build you some strength, right? Because you're really conditioning your nervous system to be able to fire more efficiently. But this is not going to do a whole lot to develop actual muscle, to really, to really damage enough muscle fiber and push the muscle to the extent where we'll be able to recover thicker and stronger. And in fact, when you're doing these sets of 1 and 2 and 3, as you do that, you're going to plateau a lot quicker because there's a lot less of a variable to go to. And then number 2, being that you're maxing out your nervous system so much by doing this makes you more prone to injury, okay? So you might have to back off, right? And do, sets of 6 to 8, right? Which is the rep range that I would say you can put a hefty amount of weight on the bar as well as do enough reps. This is a good in-between as far as volume and intensity, right? So 6 to 8, or maybe even 4 to 8, right? So maybe your first week, you're doing sets of, 8 reps. Second week, you're doing sets of 6. Third week, you're doing sets of 4. Fourth week, you're doing sets of 2, and you peak, and then you go back to a higher rep scheme, right? That's just an example there. But in between 6 and 8, 8 to 10, 10 and 12, should be something that you really want to focus on if you're just focused on muscular hypertrophy and things like that. But still, even if you're working with doing sets of 12, 10, 8, 6, or even 4. Okay, I wouldn't go any lower than 4 reps. But still, on that RPE scale, staying between a 7 and a 9. Okay, even at the higher ends of the rep scheme, still staying in between that 7 and 9. Anything lower than that, like a 5 or a 6, should be used for a warm-up so you can really get into your working sets. Now, under eating, let me tell you something. This is so prevalent. And this is not only just prevalent for people who are skinny, struggling to build muscle, but this is also very prevalent amongst people who are overweight, massively overweight even, okay? Within my, 13 years of coaching and learning people's diet, I've had people who are 200 plus pounds and who only eat like 15, 16, or even 2,200 calories a day. Now, me at 160 pounds and 9% body fat, I eat like 2,600 calories a day, right? In between 24 and 2,600 calories a day. And I'm able to build muscle and strength and retain the physique that I have with eating that amount, okay? And not put on body fat. So, really take a look at how much you're eating. Look at your meal structure, because a lot of the times you got these people who undereat, but here's what they do. You wake up in the morning, you grab a cup of coffee, you load the coffee up with sugar and creamer, or whatever the case is, and then for lunch, maybe you go get Chick-fil-A, and that Chick-fil-A meal is like 800 calories, right? And then for dinner, they have a dinner, probably some more fried foods or whatever the case is, Chinese food or whatever, and that's like another 800 calories. Man, that's like 1,600 calories a day. But the thing is that the food quality is the thing that's keeping you fat. And then combined with the fact that you're just not eating enough. So your food choices are poor, and you're not even eating enough of those poor food choices. You're killing yourself doing this. Okay, and then you have some people who are massively overweight, and they're like, I'm tired of being overweight, and I'm gonna change my diet. And then they're focused on cutting calories and eating healthier. So they say, instead of getting the Chick-fil-A, I'm gonna go to Panera Bread and get a salad. And so then the salad is maybe like 350 calories, and then dinner is, they cut something out of their dinner, and dinner is 600 calories. That's even less than the 1,600. You're starving yourself. So the bulk of all your nutrients came from the salad that you got. As far as magnesium, calcium, iron, copper, manganese, and all of this type of stuff. Fiber. That came from the salad, but you're starving your body. So here's what happens when you're undereating and you're starving your body. Here's what happens. Now, you have a balance between adrenaline and testosterone and cortisol and estrogen. You have a balance between these two things. Now, a person like me who has the physique that I do, or these top level athletes and stuff who look lean and striated all year round, muscular and strong, like these CrossFit athletes you see on ESPN, they got the adrenal function and the testosterone up here, and then they got the cortisol and the estrogen down here. You see? Now the people who are out of shape and they're struggling to gain strength and build muscle and cut body fat, that's the inverse. Cortisol levels through the roof, estrogen is through the roof. Okay, now here's the thing. Adrenaline is it is essential to dropping body fat and building muscle. Essential. You will not be able to create a body transformation without it. Okay, so when you eat, that kicks on your adrenaline, and then your adrenaline metabolizes your food, allows you to draw nutrients from your food, allows you to metabolize fat, etc. And this is why in fat burning pills and stuff like that, they have caffeine in them, because the caffeine supercharges and really kicks on your adrenal to pour that adrenaline into your bloodstream and get that heart rate going and speed up your metabolism. Okay, so now when your adrenal function is optimal and your diet is optimal, that then raises your testosterone levels. So your testosterone and your adrenaline raise parallel to each other here, right? And then that lowers the cortisol and the estrogen, that lowers the stress. Because let me tell you something, a really solid, optimal diet loaded with quality nutrition will definitely lower your bodily stress. Okay, so also what I gotta mention is, now when you think about this, if you're going to the gym and you're stressing your body out by training, doing intense physical activity, you're stressing your body, and that cortisol level is going to come up. If your diet is not offsetting that with that adrenal function and that testosterone and the recovery, your stress level is just going to stay up here. So your workouts could be making you fat, you're under eating, and then your diet's making you fat. Now for the skinny people, you just end up getting skinny fat by doing this. So you just end up gaining belly fat and no muscle. So you got to make sure that you're not under eating. Now, what you should do in order to avoid the under eating is you should see what your maintenance calories are. So typically what I would do is I would say, okay, I'm 160 pounds. What I'm going to do real simply is I'm going to multiply my weight by 14. Right? So that'll put me at 2,600 calories around there, right? I don't know. I can't do the math off my head. I'm not a math surgeon, right? I'm not a mathematician. I don't even, what is that word? Mathematician. My English is failing me. But anyways, you get the point, right? And so I started at 2,600, and I eat there and see how my body responds. How do I feel? How am I training? How's my performance? If my performance could be better, right? If I feel like I'm still a little off, all I could really do is just add a little bit, right? I'd add maybe like 1 sweet potato, see how that does. And you can tweak your diet like this. If you add that 1 sweet potato and you go and you tear it up in the gym for the rest of the week after that from add that sweet potato, all I had to do was add that sweet potato. All I had to do was add that extra quarter cup or half cup of lentils. All I had to do was add that quarter cup or half cup of chickpeas, right? All I had to do was just put a little bit more raw onion in the salad, right? All I had to do is just add a quarter cup of cashews or almonds, and bam, I'm seeing the differences night and day. I just needed that little extra bit. And that's fine tuning and tweaking your diet to get it to really work for you. So it's a little bit of trial and error. But when you're trying to stop under eating, you don't just go from the 1,500 calories all the way to the 26 right out the gate. But every day, every week, you gradually add 100 calories, 50 calories, right? Just add in little things. Maybe add in a banana, add 1 grapefruit, add a protein shake, right? And you just add this one thing and see how it makes you feel for the rest of the week. And you just slowly add. And then eventually, you'll notice your body change. You'll notice how you perform in the gym. And then you'll say, this is working. Fourth and final is overeating. Now, overeating is not really that common. It's not as common as undereating. But you know who overeats the most? I had a little brain fart. Who overeats the most is the people who overeat consciously because they're trying to gain muscle. Dudes do this. Guys do this. Especially my skinny male vegan friends, right? And my skinny vegan female friends. Where you say, I'm trying to gain muscle and it's really difficult. Ever since I went vegan, I dropped a lot of weight and I feel good about dropping weight, but I'm struggling. I'm a hard gainer. So I went all the way to 3,500 calories and I feel horrible. Right? I've heard people say to me, people who are like 140 pounds or 150 pounds, right? And the bones and stuff showing. They're like, yeah, I'm eating 3,000 calories a day. And I'm just like, chill, don't do that, right? Because look, here's the deal. Now, on average, if your diet is on point and your training is on point, you could expect to gain 10, 12 pounds a year, give or take, right? So like 1 pound a month, 1 pound of lean muscle mass a month. That's what you could expect, right? And you'll see consistent strength gains and muscle gains throughout the year if you're doing things correctly. Now, if you're seeing like 6 pounds, you've gained 6 pounds in like a week or 2 weeks, not good, because that's a lot of water and a lot of fat. That's a mistake. Now, if you're skinny and you overeat, this will just make you be skinny fat. This is going to lead to you being skinny fat. Well, you might even gain a little bit of muscle, but you don't even notice because you gain way more fat from overeating over this extended period of time. Okay? So, even like for me in particular when I'm training, I may get up to 2,700 calories a day. And that's enough for me to build muscle. I won't really push it too much after that. So I would only eat, if I'm trying to consistently build muscle at an optimal rate, I'm only going to eat at a 10% surplus. Because it's not like, if I eat a 20% surplus, I'm going to see 20% more gains. It's not how it works. Right? Because your body can only recover but so much within a given time period. So just because you eat more doesn't mean you're going to build more. Your body is only going to build but so much within a 24-hour period. Your body's only going to build but so much within a 48-hour period. I don't care how hard you train. You can be in the gym 3 hours. It's not going to work. You got to give it time. Right? Now, if you're in the gym and you're eating enough calories, you're eating enough protein and all that type of stuff, which before I even go into this, I should say, if you're focused on building lean mass, okay, you want to eat 10% over maintenance. That's number one. Number two, as far as protein goes, you want to be getting in between 1.6 and 1.8 grams of protein per kilogram of lean mass. Not overall body mass, lean mass. So if my body fat is 9%, I'm going to subtract 9% from my overall weight in kilograms. Okay? And whatever number I end up with, I'm going to multiply that by 1.8. That's how much protein I'm going to consume. Okay, cool, done. The extra 10% surplus is going to come from protein or carbohydrates. Now, I'm not really going to get into a surplus by adding fat, and the reason for that is because fat doesn't get stored well in the human body, right? Fat gets stored in your liver, it gets stored underneath your skin, and it gets stored right attached to your organs, right? So you don't want fat sticking to your organs, right, in your stomach and all that type of stuff. Be having that bloated, soggy look. Okay? Carbohydrates, on the other hand, get stored right in the muscle. Okay? Carbohydrates get stored right in your liver. But it's not really that easy for your body to store carbs and convert them as fat. It's just not how it works. Carbs get stored in muscle, fat gets stored in your fat stores. Your fat stores just grow. So those extra carbs should be coming from things like potatoes, rice, quinoa, different grains, beans, chickpeas, lentils, things like that, fruit, stuff like that. Okay, that's where your extra calories should be coming from. Now, if you're doing all of this, you're eating the right amount of protein, you're eating the right amount of carbs, you're eating the right amount of calories, and you're still not seeing gains, it's because your program just is not cutting it. Okay? And so then you may need to take a look at your program. And then go back to, am I doing enough volume? Right? Am I doing enough sets and reps? Am I lifting heavy enough? And that goes back to number 1 and number 2 that I mentioned earlier. So look at this entire video and really analyze your lifestyle, what you're doing in the gym and what you're doing in the kitchen, and then really take some time to properly identify where you're going wrong.